Good evening Cebu, good evening Philippines. It's open mic night tonight, and this is our first of two-part anniversary episode with no less than the king of talk, Boy Abunda, my friend, mentor, confidant, confessor, a host of many things.
Partner.
Boy Abunda. Boy,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
Welcome to the show.
May ganon. Parang naiilang naman ako with the formalities of, The only difference, mga kaibigan, is that we're talking in front of the cameras, but we do this very often, and we talk about everything and nothing.
Everything and nothing, that's right. I'd like to give a bit of history. Some people wonder how I became friends with you. Do you remember?
Yes, I do. But I look at it as, we're connected. We've always been connected. I mean, there are people meant to be friends. Yan ang aking pananaw. There are people meant to be part of your life.
That's true.
Di ba?
Boy, actually, I called...
Was it a call or a text message?
No, it was a call.
It was a call, right.
I was in first year college, taking up advertising.
And I was in third year.
Yes. I was a freshman and he was a junior. About to go to the junior prom. So
Okay.
I wrote down my classmate's number at the black side of the illustration board for a project, no? And then we had a group thing. And then I called that number that night. Wrong number. And then, on the other line, hello. I go, hello, can I talk to
And
Dandy?
I answer phone calls, huh?
Yes.
I do. And it was a young boy, and I thought, it was the voice of a young boy, and it's always interesting to talk to young boys. So I had a vested interest. Oh wow, it's a young boy. I said, hi. It was Mike Lopez.
I said, is it Dandy? He said, no, I'm sorry, but I think you have the wrong number.
Yeah.
Who is this? He said, this is Mike. I was like, wrong number. Why would he ask for my name?
Yeah, of course, because you were a young boy. Diba? And young boys sound good over the phone. So I said, hi, what's your name? Mike. Oh, Mike.
Mike from where?
From where? Cebu.
Oh, I have friends in Cebu, like.
Okay,
Mike,
so...
what family name? Ko Lopez. And I was like, ano ba tong tao na to? Because, and you are Boy Abunda. I was like, what the F?
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. I mean, there are things that the universe, planned for you, and that was ours.
Yeah. Imagine the serendipity.
Serendipity, and of course, I realized that we were sisters. It was a sisterhood
Of the traveling pants.
No, but it was wonderful. It was a wonderful beginning of a friendship because since then we've been actually talking.
Yes.
So I'm saying this is nothing extraordinary for me except for the cameras and the friends that we have here today. This is one of those. And of course, congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you,
when Mike was planning to do this show, I was supposed to be one of the first guests.
The first.
The first. But of course, we couldn't make it because of our schedules.
First
But
anniversary.
again, I am proud to be your first anniversary guest.
Special.
Diba?
It can't be anyone else but Boy.
Open mic.
And then for the part 2, we'll swap because only the king of talk can.
Wow,
I
okay.
can only relinquish my chair to the king of talk.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, but si Boy has always been there, confidant through the tough times.
So much information about Mike's life. Okay.
I will have to kill you. But Boy, now you are. From that time, you were, of course, already a big name in showbiz, the king of talk already. But now you are Dr. Boy Abunda.
But I'm not really comfortable about the title. I don't really know how it came about.
The king of talk.
The king of talk. I don't know how it came about. I'm of course flattered. I am grateful that I have a brand, diba? The king of talk. But it's sometimes makes me feel uneasy, queasy even. Kasi, a king has to have a queen, and I don't have a queen. Diba? A king, queen.
Or a king, another
king, or whatever. But it has become a brand. I'm not very comfortable. But,
well, Chris is your queen of all media.
Okay, of talk. She's called before a queen of talk. But it just stays there. I mean, nothing amorous and nothing.
It was a marriage of convenience.
Prearranged.
Yeah, like most monarchical unions.
Napunta talaga sa monarchy. Yeah, now I am a doctor. I don't even know, it was not planned. I mean, if I want to say this, I didn't plan it. I didn't graduate from college, from the Ateneo. I'm talking about the Ateneo. But all my academic units, I went for the ETIAT. This is the equivalency program of the CHED. I went for this in 2006, 7.
So this is like your real world experience, no?
I'm trying to encourage a lot of people who didn't finish college. I've always wanted to have a diploma because I wanted a diploma for nanay and tatay. I really wanted a diploma for them. I don't know if this is something that's common among many people, but I wanted a diploma for my parents, not necessarily for me. So, but when I started working, until I got into broadcast, I didn't realize, Mike, there was a point in my life when I didn't realize that wala akong diploma. I didn't realize. Hindi ko talaga alam. Until a good friend of mine, Susie Benitez, raised the idea of the ETIAP.
Yeah.
Sabi niya, why don't you go for the ETIAP? Ang programa pong ito is, it gives value to your work experience. So they evaluate your work experience, you submit your experience in various fields, and then they examine.
You convert it to units.
Yeah, well, to a certain point, yes. And then they say, because of your work experience, you'll have to take certain classes or exams, and you have to do a thesis for your collegiate requirements. And to me, it was easy. Sabi ko, ay, ito lang pala.
I think USJR, San Jose Recoletos, has
I did that. I did that. So, ang nangyari lang, right after I graduated college, I mean, I went for my master's. Ang master's ko po ay in communications. And it was a little easier, of course, it has to be. It was easier than my
PhD.
doctoral journey. I was hoping to do a double master's degree. Reason being, that brought me to the world of Ambassador Manalo, the international relations and public diplomacy. I wanted to go for international relations, but a thesis in international relations is daunting. I think there's a requirement that you have to go for an observation trip to an international posting, etc., which I couldn't do because of my schedule.
But your PhD is in
Social development.
social development.
So, when I finished, when I defended, I was telling you earlier, alam niyo po, mga kaibigan, nung sinusulat ko pa yung aking thesis for my master's degree, I was in Cebu. Tsunami time, I was doing an interview with our friend, dear friend,
March 2011.
Gwen Garcia, and Kenneth Cobonque. During the breaks, I was writing my thesis. I arrived Manila, I met with my advisor, Dr. Palcon, and I defended my thesis the next day. Funny story, just for students, because I didn't have the time. One, yung mga deans, they introduce themselves. I am Dean Lopez, I'm the guardian of text. I am Dean Abunda, I am the guardian of form. Yung mga ganon. So, hirap naman pala nito.
Mga guardians.
No, but in one instance during my defense, one of the doctors, one of the deans was actually right, and she said, this should be in your related literature. This does not belong, etc., etc. And since I didn't have the time, I said, pwede ho bang, can I make the corrections now? Can I write, what you're saying now? Because I cannot come back and defend again my thesis. They allowed me. 20 minutes, I wrote it, longhand po, photocopied, and then I defended it again before the panel. What I'm trying to say is, they're also very compassionate. They're very understanding. I mean, napaka-rigid nung academic requirements, but, I think most of them, may mga puso din.
But not all teachers are like that.
No, my dissertation defense was really, really hell. Ito po talaga totoo. Really hell. Of course, I was very grateful to the members of the panel, to my teachers, to my advisor, the Venerable Lito Manalili of the University of the Philippines. And before that, my advisor was Dr. Hudtuhan, who is the foremost authority on the Babaylan, the discourse studies on the Babaylan. I had some of the best advisors, but my dissertation defense was the closest I have had to what probably is hell. Totoo talaga
Were you
yun.
very nervous before?
No, alam mo, in
Because, of course, you're used to presentations.
I was not nervous. I was so ready. I was so ready. I wrote every word of that dissertation. I was so ready. Okay, let me be very honest. Philippine Women's was going through so many problems.
Yes, it was very public.
Very public, okay? 4 ang panel na pinagdaanan ko, Mike, dahil nga sa mga upheavals na nangyayari sa universidad. So you can imagine what it did, how it impacted into my dissertation. It was hard. I started with a different panel. I went to a next one, to a third one, to a fourth. But Dr. Kiko Benitez, this is the first time I'm talking about this. Dr. Benitez made a very important point. Boy, when your dissertation is in the archives, I mean, people are not going to say, because, you went through academic upheavals. That's why. Hindi. You have to write it as if nothing had happened. So, yun po yung dahilan kung bakit papalit-palit ako ng advisors from the Venerable Hudtuhan to Lito Manalili.
Kasi alam nga naman you write like a prologue with a historical context.
At saka ang taste, ang pananaw ng panel mo, nag-iiba-iba. Nag-iiba-iba. Theoretical framework, iba. I mean, iba ang focus, etc.
In your...
No, I just wanted to say, Mike, that I defended it for like 5 hours and then another hour after the evaluation. Tatanggapin ko po after the third hour. Nakaupo na ako ng ganito. Parang ang sinasabi ko, is this worth it? Parang I felt I was being abused. Totoo yun. Some people say, were you given a preferential treatment because you are who you are? Are you joking? It came to a point when...
I think they enjoyed it.
Hindi eh.
For me, if boy was there in front of me, I'm gonna grill him.
In fairness to them, they were just who they were. But they were really cruel. Totoo yun. Third hour, I wanted to say, yes. Pero sumagi sa isipan ko na, how to walk away? I mean, I don't need this. I really don't need this. I worked so hard on this dissertation, which was over 300 pages. That was my life, and I was being whacked.
Of all the questions leveled at you, what was like the one question that was quite difficult to answer? Or
Very technical. Very technical.
Methodology?
There was no, alam mo na ko, Mike, I will answer any question. I'll give an example. So, when we started, you present your dissertation. Pinipresent mo yun eh. May PowerPoint ka. Siyempre, showtime. Handa. I mean, was I nervous? No. Was I fidgety? No. I was so ready. So, I had a PowerPoint presentation. I performed. I knew my text. Ang dissertation ko po, inilagay ko sa likod ko because I wanted to impress on my panel that I knew my dissertation, every word of that dissertation. So, pagkatapos ng aking PowerPoint presentation, syempre nagpakilala yung chairman. I'm the chair of the panel, and let me ask the first question. What is the phenomenon of this work? And I don't see the point of this hypothesis.
The role of mothers?
No. I mean, very technical. It's you have a hypothesis, but you don't actually need a hypothesis in a dissertation. Pwede namang wala. So, kaagad parang, wow, okay, of course I answer the question. Ano ba yung phenomenon na aking pinag-uusapan at sinasagot at pinag-aaralan na pinopropose? The hypothesis, I said, if it bothers you, we can take that, we can erase that. The most difficult was because I came from many panels, from not just the methodology, of course it was questioned, the phenomenological method that I used initially, when in fact it could just be a qualitative study with case studies. Sabi ko, ang dali naman ho niyan, pagpapag-usapan natin yan. Difficult, kinarate ako dun sa related literature ko because remember, my dissertation is on maternal love and there are very few academic materials available that discuss maternal love as a force that can be used for leadership. So, talagang I scoured the world for materials and I got a lot of pieces of advice from some of the most learned people.
Did you also delve into the maternal love between, let's say, Adolf Hitler and his mother?
No, there's a chapter in my dissertation that's called "Mothering Gone Wrong," because it is an enabler. It's a powerful force. Yes, in one of my first drafts, for example, I had discussions about Hitler being devoted to his mother, Bin Laden.
Very devoted to his mother.
Because maternal love, if not nurtured, can go any way. So it's not just about maternal love as a force, but the nurturance of that love, as a force, as a tool of leadership.
Are you going to transform this dissertation into a more layman presentation?
What's going to happen is it is available in the archives and the library of the Philippine Women's University.
Because I think it would be nice to be able to communicate it to a larger audience, not just as a book. No?
I may, and I've started discussions with ABS-CBN Publishing, and we haven't closed the deal, but we may just. But doing excerpts from the dissertation is something that I am doing now, like just now. Just a while ago, I spoke before St. Teresa's alumni, and I did Mother Nurtured Leadership, and I spoke about it, and I did excerpts from the dissertation. I believe, ang pinaniniwalaan ko ho talaga ay yung pagmamahal ng isang ina sa isang anak ay isang puwersa na magagamit to developing, to creating leaders. Pero ang hindi ko sinasabi na yun lamang. Hindi ko sinasabi na yun lamang. Sabi ko
But it has so much influence.
So much influence. But tama ka. It can go anyway
because
if not nurtured properly.
Because a lot of our strengths and our weaknesses, diba, in psychology, it's very basic, it's very textbook. It goes back to our childhood. And
tama.
And who is the leading figure in our childhood, except for, mother and father, but it's mostly the mother.
It's the first love that you experience.
Yes.
Pero doon sa aking dissertation, lahat ho yan thoroughly dinidiscuss. Of course, part of my related literature, for example, is that I went through a lot of psychoanalysts, psychologists, trying to prove that maternal love is fundamental. It has primacy.
Did you?
Merong mga proofs then from psychologists that it is the first love. It's very thorough. So
did you delve into certain myths and try to debunk them?
Meron, not debunk, but I went into some cultural practices. Like for example, in South Korea, may tinatawag silang Taegyo method. The whole community is involved in raising children. Dito nag-umpisa, Taegyo method is the name. Demeanor should be good, music should be played, fetus pa lamang yung bata. But it is not just the responsibility of the father and the mother, but extended families and the whole community. All of them are involved in raising. That's cultural.
Individual.
Sa Pilipinas, also in my dissertation, I define that motherhood, family, especially motherhood, and being a mother has become inclusive. Studies prove, for example, that you don't have to be biological to nurture.
That's true.
So my definition is that you can be a father, you can be a mother, you can be a lolo, but can be a mother.
Even to a friend.
A friend, a gay father, a lesbian mother. So I expanded the concept of motherhood beyond its biological nature.
It's nice, interesting. But I'm very curious about your graduation experience. But have to pause for the short break. Open mic. We'll be right back with the King of Talk, Boy. We're back here at Open Mic with Boy Abunda. So, Boy, we were talking about your...
I like the open mic. It's so...
phallic.
You have the mic and it's open.
Yes, very much open. Well, not so. But we're talking about your dissertation. But let's talk about the culmination. Your commencement exercise. How was it? Because you were wearing, you were in academic garb, traditional academic robes, with the what do you call that, the hat.
I know. At saka akin yun, nagpatahi talaga ako.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
So you have it in your house?
I'm going to have it framed. There's a way of doing it, and it can stay for 100 years now. There's a special weight of framing.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just waiting for my diploma.
Of course, naman. Why will you rent?
No, but I wanted to keep it. No, my graduation was very memorable. Memorable in a sense that I was also invited. It was an honor and a privilege. I've been invited to also be the commencement speaker for my own graduation. But it was tough. Because what do you say? I'm used to delivering graduation speeches, Mike. Pero sabi ko, ano kaya sasabihin ko? I mean, anong ang i-deliver ko sa mga graduates na...
PhD worthy.
PhD worthy, and how do you connect? Yeah. How do you connect with... Kasi sabay eh. My college, master's, and PhD. I decided, I said, well, this is inspired by J.K. Rowling's Harvard speech. I think it was J.K. Rowling who said, nobody remembers what you say, and nobody even remembers you.
Unless you're Melania Trump. Memorable.
But But even Melania, I think after 30 years, people would have forgotten that she actually plagiarized Michelle's.
Yes.
Okay? But when I read that speech and said, oo nga naman, I mean, who remembers what you say when you deliver a graduation speech? And you wouldn't even remember me. So, since I was one of the graduates, I said, I will write Nanay a letter. And before I started to read my letter, I told the graduates that you do the same. Sulatan niyo ang nanay, ang tatay, write your guardians, anybody you want to thank, and that becomes your graduation speech. I was a mess. I was very emotional for many reasons. It was my life story. It was Nanay's life story. And Tita Helen wasn't there. And Tita Helen passed away last July 15. Yeah. I was very emotional because she was
102, no?
She was 102 years old. Helena Benitez, aside from Tita Conching Sunico, Tita Conching Sunico made me feel that I had worth as a person. Helena Benitez was the one who showed me the possibilities. Ganun
she was
kahalaga.
Encouraged.
Yeah. You know, nung hindi po ako nakamarch nung aking masters, nung aking graduation from my masters, I went to Tita Helen and said, Tita, give me naman a graduation, a solo graduation. And I was told by the president of Philippine Women, si Kiko, sabi, alam mo, when Tita Helen told me that, I said, what? You can't do that. I said, no, I'm doing it for boy. So I had a solo graduation. So I didn't have that experience of being able to march with others. It was memorable. I was very emotional. And I wished Nanay were there. I wished Tatay were there. Alam mo yun, yung...
Because why wasn't she there?
Nanay, can't get out of the house anymore. Hindi na, but she's very stable. But Nanay has mild dementia. I paid tribute to her. And I wanted the graduates to do the same. To pay tribute to their parents, to their fathers, to people they love. Memorable yung graduation.
But it's not, what's nice with you, boy, is that you really paid it forward. No? Like for me, we met like that, diba? It was a very unique way of meeting someone. But throughout the last 15 years as a friend, you were always there. You'd return a call, even if you're busy. You'd return a call if I needed help. But not only that, you were also a friend to my friends.
That's right.
Tingog is here.
Yeah.
You always supported Tingog. You always found time to call, to give encouragement. You would give your financial support to Tingog throughout the last so many years.
The most important thing here is I'd like people to know na habang ako'y nag-aaral po, nagpapaaral din ako. But now that it has become public, because I know TV Patrol did a story on me and my graduation, and I'm very proud of this. Last year, 2015, the magna cum laude, geology of the University of the Philippines.
Was your scholar?
Was a boy I sent to school from elementary to college.
Wow.
You know what's so, Revan, you know what's so interesting is, such a boy, he loves his country. Geology, of course, he was disappointed that he didn't go for the Summa because of point something. But when he took the board exams, this is indicative of how humble the boy is. Called me and said, Tito, di ako sigurado, I don't know. I got him a hotel where he reviewed for a number of weeks para he could concentrate. Nakakaaliw lang kasi, Tito, I don't know. After the exams, I'm not even sure. It's really it's a tough board exams. He was number one.
Wow.
And one of the most fulfilling moments in my life was during the oath-taking of the new geologists. Diba, the top-notcher is given a chance to speak.
Like
the opening paragraph was on me. Nakakaano lang. And then I was asked, the summa cum laude of the Far Eastern University last year also was my scholar. The magna cum laude of the Far Eastern University in 2014 and St. Scholastica's University were my scholars. They all wrote me letters. When I graduated dito sa aking doctoral degree. It's fascinating and interesting because they would say, Tito, what do you want us to do? I will always say, given the chance and when you have the wherewithal to send someone to school, do it. Then and only then have you thanked me. Yun lang ang hinihingi ko sa kanila. Send someone to school. The day before yesterday, Mike, I got a call from Lester, if you're watching, Leslie, who graduated summa cum laude last year from the Far Eastern University. Tito, I'm so proud that you graduated, but I am also proud to report to you that now I'm sending my younger brother to school. and I'm sending my other cousin to school because I can afford. Now I'm able to say thank you. But that's my idea of transformative leadership. When you're a leader, you should be able to inspire others to be leaders.
But boy, you know, this is in this room. It's not just Tingog, no, that is grateful for
Thank
all,
you for
all the
embracing me as family, Tino.
honorary member. But Tita Connie Lim, no, you campaigned for her in
yes.
2010.
I know.
Then you didn't ask for, I don't know, just because you believed in her. No?
Yes.
Connie Lim in Ozamis, of course, Maritas. That's why she, di ba we always talk about, you
No,
know.
Marites Allen, I ask for money because her money is suerte.
Yeah. No, but you know, you have all the good karma because you give out, you put out a lot of good in the world. But you know, I'd like to also focus on this child. I don't know if you remember, around 4 years ago, I told you that there's this kid I discovered online. His parents set up this fund. It's called Mavin's Heart Fund online on Facebook, and he needed a surgery. And then I told you about it, and you were so quick to help. He was around 9 months old at the time, and he badly needed surgery. He's here. He's 4 years old.
Wow.
He's asleep. Yeah.
Wow. You know, I'll tell you something. I help because...
And you don't even know him.
No, and also, Mike, because at a certain point in my life, I had nothing. At a certain point in my life, I had nowhere to go. I had no home. I had no house in Manila. I was roaming the streets. After Tatay died, I was dependent on the kindness of strangers and friends. I help and I forget. You know what I'm saying? Not forget, but I really don't count. Because bilangin ko man lahat ang maitulong ko, hindi kaya palitan yung ginawa sa akin ng ibang tao at ng Diyos. I say this from the bottom of my heart. You know, I depended on the kindness and love of friends and strangers. So
there's a life in front of you.
I know. And thank you for giving me that chance, Mike, of being part of the life of the boy. You know, thank you for having given me the chance. And it touches me in a very, very special way. My tatay died because we were poor. Tatay died inside a taxi cab in the arms of his mother. And I always say, Nanay, Tatay died because of heart attack and poverty. That's why I promised Nanay, I'm going to work very hard, Nanay. I will make sure that I will take good care of you. Wala kami pambili ng gamot eh. Wala kami pambili ng gamot. We were in Manila. I remember, I was already in first year college, I think, Mike. I will not forget this scene. Nasa tapat kami ng Philippine General Hospital. I didn't know what was wrong with Tatay, but he had himself examined. Lumabas kami ng PGH. Meron siyang bulak dito at dito kasi dumudugo. And we were running after mga jeep at buses because we had to take the bus back to Malibay kung saan kami nakakatira, nakikitira. I don't forget that scene. Not because I am obsessed about my past or I want to rhapsodize my success. Hindi ko lang tinatanggal yun kasi I use that as my motivation that I'm going to work so hard because I will make sure that I will be able to afford the medicine that my mother needs. Yun yung dahilan kung bakit I went to Europe and nung sinabi na may gamot doon, dinala ko si nanay. Nung sinabi nasa Singapore, I brought my mother. Pag sinasabing may gamot, dinala ko na lang nanay ko because ayokong sabihin sa sarili ko na hindi ko ginawa ang lahat para sa aking ina. And I saw my father die because we couldn't afford medicine.
But I am witness to how devoted you are to your mom.
I am.
So, but I think all of these experiences, no, parang how do you feel when sometimes people are quick to write you off as just a gossip, talk show host?
I've gotten used to it, Mike.
But before?
I used to resent it.
Even if it brought in the
I used to resent. I used to be so hurt. Remember, there was a time when
you were going to be appointed.
I was going to be appointed DOT secretary. Not naman appointed. I was
6 years around this time.
6 years ago. And then, of course, there was a mix of reaction. People were saying, what does he know? He's just an entertainer, etc.
I remember.
Medyo napikon din ako ng konti. I mean, of course, there were some kind people who would say, no, he's a studious student, he's a devoted learner, etc. Pero nakakasakit din. That's why, how do you react to this? Given the chance, I don't condescend. I don't stereotype. I give people a chance. I really give people a chance. I know I am a commentarist, but I think there's a reason why.
Until they cross the line.
Yeah, of course. There's a line.
Because I remember how passionate you were. You know, that statement you gave after Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, until a line is crossed. But otherwise, you know, I'm very open. I'm an open sea. So, but what a life! Now that we're talking about it, wow. Pero may dignidad sa pagiging mahirap. There's dignity. There's dignity in being poor. My mother has two sisters. They used to live in, both have passed away. Nanay Luming and Nanay Siling. They used to stay in depressed areas in Manila. Depressed areas, as in really depressed areas. Pero alam mo, every time I'd visit them, tuwang-tuwa sila, ang saya-saya nila, as if they were the richest women in the world. Alam mo yun, yung Mike, yung iba?
Ganang Pinoy.
Oo, iba.
That's how Filipinos are.
So that's wow.
But you know, those were defining moments for you.
Yeah, and I want to go back again to the question. People write me off, for example, even to this day. I mean, some people would say it's just whatever, or you know how it is.
And they don't have PhDs.
No, but I have learned this lesson. Was it Plato who said, "You are who you respond"? But if somebody says, "Pangit, lumingon ka, pangit ka." That's why pag may nagsasabing pangit, ay, hindi ako lumilingon. So I know I'm beautiful. I mean, why allow anybody to define who you are?
Minsan, boy, you don't lingon because bingi ka. I'm just kidding.
No, but that's very important. And some people are quick to judge, and some people are quick to judge even if they don't even know who you are. Meron lang talaga, may mga tao trip lang talagang siraan ka o kaya i-discarril ka.
I know how that feels.
I also know how that feels. Totoo yun. But of course, there are moments na pag nahuli ka, na down ka, apektado ka.
Oh yes.
But thank
we
you.
We are only human after all.
Thank you, I have Bong. I have you to call. I have some friends to call na, alam mo, sinabing, but, takes me a couple of hours and then I'm back. But I'm back in the Miss Universe stage.
But going back to that offer 6 years ago, would you ever entertain, now that, especially that you're very educationally, in terms of your educational attainment, you're very much qualified. In terms of your real world experience, you're very much qualified. Would you take a job in government? Because
the funny thing is, somebody said, did you take your PhD because you want to join government? Sabi ko, hindi naman. I'm open. Hindi ako magsasara ng pintuan. I'm open. But it's always nanay. I still have to take care of nanay. I still have to spend more time with my mother. And I don't want one day to look back and say I wasn't there. I want to be with my mother. I am in Cebu. I call nanay when I wake up. I call nanay before lunch. I call the house just to make sure that she's okay. Sa ngayon, yun ang aking focus. That's my focus. Everything else is in the periphery.
What about academia?
I used to teach, but it's time consuming. But that is one thing I want to do for a long, long time in my life. I want to teach. I want to go back to the academe. I want to teach part-time because I can do communications, I can do social development, I can do a lot. I have my public speaking and hosting workshops. I want to teach. I want to share.
You would want to. You can see yourself doing that for the rest of your life.
I enjoy it. I love teaching. It's orgasmic. I love teaching. I really love. Alam niyo po sa eskwelahan, when I was teaching, I would tell my students, kasi mag-uumpisa sila, I don't like big classes. I like intimate classes of 15 to 20 at the most. I would tell my students, I don't know why you're in my class. Baka iniisip niyo lang that I'm Boy Abunda, or baka you want to learn.
Or gusto ma-discover.
Whatever. Iba-iba ang mga dahilan niyo. Hindi ako nagbabagsak ng estudyante. Isa lang ang request ko. I want my students to be participative, lalo na sa communications classes. I want them to, I want to hear you. I want to hear you out. So, halimbawa, I start with 17 students. By the time I am on my 3rd month, 7 na lang.
Bakit? What happened?
Kasi hindi nagsasalita. I don't like.
I mean, Boy naman. You can't blame them if Boy is in front of them and you're very mapatalinghaga. You're very deep, very philosophical.
I blabber.
Existential.
Yeah, well, I'm loquacious. I'll not. I will say that as bluntly as I can. But you know what? I listen. I really listen, and I listen not just to the wise words of people, but I listen to idiots. I really listen. Totoo yan. I really listen. Yeah. So when my students don't participate, parang I take it as an offense.
But you really do listen.
I do.
Because sometimes people think you don't. No?
I listen.
Because you're very talkative.
I am.
But Boy really does listen because you're and very retentive.
I am.
Because you would remember things that people would tell you even like years after.
But like everybody else, I also remember the good things. But I am very retentive.
The exploits.
I am I can quote books I read 10 years ago. But not all.
What was the last book you read?
Well, Napoleon Bonaparte, which was given to me by Richard Hidarian.
Is it an engaging read?
Engaging, as in really engaging.
Does it give a different side to Napoleon? Because of course he's seen as
Not just Napoleon, but the era.
Napoleon complex.
The times.
The era.
Diba? It gives you that wonderful perspective.
Is Marie Antoinette mentioned?
Yes.
Of course, no?
Yes. You can, I don't think you can do a narrative
Exactly.
on para namang kaibigan natin si Napoleon.
Akin si Marie. Sa'yo na lang si Napoleon. Si Marie.
Gusto ko rin si Marie.
There's cake there.
No, but books. Sabi ko nga, books are my life. I start and by days with books. I'm now doing also another book now. I'm starting a book. It's called Development Theory. Hindi siya academic. A very interesting read about social development, about societies, about governments, in a language that is very familiar.
Of course, I have a lot of questions about books.
Yes.
Because you would refer books to me before. I think you were the one who advised me to read The Audacity of Hope. You were
Yes.
among the first people to have actually read that. To have actually talked about reading The Audacity of Hope with that's Barack Obama's
Yes.
book. But of course, we have to pause for another break. The Open Mic will be right back. We're back here in Open Mic with Boy Abunda. So, Boy, books.
Okay.
Favorite book? The one book that you can read over and over.
100 Years.
I've never read that, so.
Gabriel Garcia
Marquez,
Marquez.
yeah.
100 Years
That's
of
some of his other
Solitude.
books, yeah.
Wonderful book.
I have it on my shelf, waiting to be read.
You have to start it. When you start it, you'll finish it.
You can read it over and over again.
Yes, there's another book that followed that. I haven't touched the book actually for years. Something. There's a second book. Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100
He's your
Years of
favorite
Solitude.
author.
He's my favorite author. Jack Kerouac. The only people for me are the mad ones. The ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to live. The ones who never yawn or say a commonplace, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles, exploding across the stars.
How sublime.
Jacques Kerouac.
How
Yeah.
many books do you own?
Oh, a lot, Mike. I hired a librarian early this year.
Catalog?
The catalog, and we're still in the process. Not as much as Sharon's. Sharon, I think, has 500,000 books. Not as much as Shawi, but I have a lot of books.
But the books
and
you
I am wild. I go for poetry to whatever
Fiction,
material.
non-fiction,
Fiction.
everything.
Yeah, but
Occult.
today
Do
I'm
you have occult?
minimal, but I now enjoy doing a lot of political books.
The books you have you read all of them? Or you're still like... do
Some
you
I browse.
you bank?
Because a lot of my books are also given by friends. So, and may mga libro din ako na 3, 5 na pare-pareho kasi, like for example, everybody knows that I am so fascinated by Mandela. You can talk
Yes,
to me
yes.
about Mandela. So, when friends find books about Mandela, so may copy ako.
Your favorite anecdotes are by Mandela.
Yeah, and the leadership concepts that I subscribe to are fundamentally aligned with Mandela as written by former Time magazine editor Michael Stengel. The Madiba's 8 rules of leadership.
And Nelson Mandela is not even ashamed to be called a politician, right?
No, wow, your memory. Yes, he was not too keen at loyalty. He was not. Mandela, to quote Mandela, he would always say that people act on their own interests. He was not crazy about loyalty. He appreciated
He's quite
loyalty.
pragmatic.
Yeah, his compass actually was, what is it that I want in the end and what is the best way to get there was
That's pragmatism.
very. He was a pragmatist. He was a pragmatic politician.
Yeah.
He called himself a politician.
Not
Politics.
ashamed.
No.
Because in the Philippines, there's a stigma.
Meron,
Political.
I think we have to redefine that. Polis. It's doing good for the city, for the community.
People.
I subscribe also to Václav Havel's, former president, poet of the Czech Republic, who defined politics as the art of the impossible. Impossible referring to things that are good for all.
While politics is the art of the impossible,
It
diplomacy is the art of compromise.
Yes,
Middle ground.
it is. The best place in diplomacy is the middle ground.
Which is a better world for you? Politics, although they're very much related. Politics or diplomacy?
I am fascinated by politics. I'm fascinated by politics. I like the grandeur. I like the drama. I like the theater of diplomacy.
Who do you think is the most engaging political leader today? Whether in the Philippines or globally?
I would have to go for... Wow, that's tough. I was about to say the mayor of London, Mayor Boris Johnson. I was about to say that, but I don't know much of him. I like what I see, but François Hollande of France, Noël de la Bertrand, the gay mayor of Paris. I like Hillary Clinton. I like Barack Obama.
So between Hillary and Trump, of course.
I will go for Hillary. I will go for Hillary Clinton. But I am so interested with Trump. I'm so interested to study him. I'm so interested to find out what he is, who he is, where he's going, where he's coming from. Interesting. Interesting.
Did you agree? Before the elections, there was a lot of comparison between Donald Trump and President Duterte. Do you agree?
There may be some commonalities, but not, yeah. I mean, I would agree that there were some commonalities, but they're very disparate characters. Very different, very
in many
different.
ways.
No, in a lot. I mean, in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways.
You're interested in the character of Trump, but it doesn't necessarily mean you want him to win as president.
I am interested.
Aren't you afraid that he might win?
I am not afraid because I'm not afraid, but I'm not afraid, but why am I not afraid? I am not afraid because if America chooses Trump to be president, that would be telling the world a very special message. A very
Special is a word.
Kasi remember, naalala natin, they started like how many of them? I mean, the nominees in the Republican
Primaries, yeah.
primaries. He was counted out from the very beginning. I mean, nobody took him seriously.
And there was even a chismis that he was like a Trojan horse from the Hillary camp.
Parang ganon, because they were friends, and
Yeah.
he was one of the contributors to Hillary's campaign. But look at where he is. Kasi you know what's interesting about him? You had Christie, you had Ted Cruz, you had Marco Rubio, you had Casey. Am I right? Yeah. Etc. Some of them.
Rubio, who you found?
I found cute.
Yeah,
I really think he's hot.
And in the Democrats naman, Martin O'Malley.
Yeah. Okay, no, but if you examine, for example, the nominees, you had some of the most experienced. I mean, you had Jeb Bush. You had some of the most seasoned politicians beside Trump.
And with very solid base.
Yeah, I mean, the first debate, he did very well because he started to, whack everybody. But the second one, which was on international relations, which was on foreign policy, he was quiet and he was counted out again. And then
Fiorina was the one who shone.
Right,
that time, yeah.
So I don't know. This is quite interesting.
Do you think it's a global phenomenon? Because, for example, in the Philippines, although I completely disagree with the comparisons between him and President Duterte, but of course the part where he shoots from the hip, Trump, and of course President Duterte is very forthright, very frank. It seems like the world is yearning for leaders. Maybe there's just been so much dishonesty.
That's possible, but going back to the comparison between President Duterte and Trump. Remember when President Duterte declares, I mean, when he shocks people, for example, with his declarations, you cannot forget that he's coming from Davao. I mean, he knows what local government is. He knows what governance is. He was in
closer to the people.
He was in Congress. I mean, he has experience with the people, as opposed to a Trump, who is a business manager, who is a business mogul. They're coming from two different places.
But a celebrity.
A celebrity who is too aware of his public persona. I mean, I'm as opposed to a Duterte who shies away from the camera, who shies away from attention. I mean, yesterday he just declared, "Don't call me Your Excellency."
Yeah.
You know, there are fundamental differences, I think, between Trump and Duterte.
The honesty,
does not
the perceived honesty
does not renege. No, but Trump backs off from certain statements after, for example, advisors. Look at ang dami. I mean, he would rephrase himself after being told that. Let's say, let's go to one instance, for example. Ano ba ang pinag-usapan, and then he made a declaration. Tapos babawiin niya ng konti. May ganun si Trump. Now, after the choice of Governor Pence, and then
Vice President,
and then Hillary just chose Governor.
I forget his name.
Tim. Wow, he's a friend. Forgot his name. No, I'm joking. They both have chosen their vice president. So
talagang dumilat ang mata.
I know, but I'm very, very interested. But you know what? I'll tell you something. I didn't know that Chelsea Clinton married the son of Marjorie Lewinsky, who was a member of the House of Representatives of the United States in 1992, who was a child advocate. I'm a fan of this lady. I didn't even know. She was a lady who said in one of her speeches that every time she'd go to the podium in the U.S. Congress, ang tanong niya sa sarili niya, what is this for the children of America?
So this is the mother-in-law of
Yes.
Chelsea Clinton.
Hindi ko alam yun. I just read about it that, okay.
Chelsea, our friend.
Yeah, we... Our friend. I'm really interested in politics. I don't know why.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
Most of our conversations actually center on
It's showbiz.
politics and personality.
Yeah.
Politics and
It's
personality.
really showbiz.
What do you think of President Duterte so far?
The last time I saw him, I had a chat with him. It was a very quick chat. This was before the elections.
He was already a candidate.
No, he said he was not running. He had not decided to run. It's very personal. You know, Mike, you know me. I like liking people. I like him. I like him. I do not pretend to have voted for him. I had made commitments. I had made up my mind. But I think very well of him. Right now, I pray to God and I ask friends to give him a chance. I have a very personal discourse about this country and about the democracy that we have been living with. I have a lot of questions, but
so far,
I'm hopeful.
But the performance, are you impressed so far?
I am impressed because he is unperturbed. He is unperturbed. He refuses to be distracted.
Very focused.
He refuses to be distracted. So it's that. I'm looking forward. I'm hopeful. It's not an easy job, and I think a strong presidency needs the support of a very active citizenry. Of course, in my heart, I say, what's going to happen a year from now? What's going to happen 2 years from now? What will be the economic plans? That's why I'm glad that Sonny Dominguez is there, and Ben Jokno is there, and Liling Briones is in education, etc.
A 91% approval rate.
And a political capital as high
Enormous.
as 91%.
So you can actually push for meaningful and lasting
let's
change.
let's support him, and let's not deny him his victory. You know, over 16 million people voted for him. He deserves that support. That's my personal thinking.
If you were to serve in government under President Duterte, or maybe even after him, what would be a post where you feel you can actually make a difference? based on your experience, your education background?
You know, it's a hard question for a pole dancer. I don't know, but TESDA is interesting to me. TESDA is interesting.
For somebody who has lived through poverty, like you said you have, that's
TESDA
a good
is interesting to
post
me.
have.
I'm a marketing man. DOT is interesting to me because I'm a marketing guy. I'm a brand. I don't want to say specialist, but that's what they call me. But I understand, you know,
Can
the
you imagine
discipline of
if
brands.
you go to, you know, if you go abroad, you know, all these fairs and, you know, tourism fora,
Yeah.
and then you make the pitch. You're the one who makes the pitch for the Philippines. How can they not listen?
And can you imagine in my Rick Owens jackets, and in my trench coats? You know, some people would say, boy, lakas ang loob mo, kahit summer nagtre-trench coat ka. Diba? Sabi ko, that's fashion.
I remember the last time we ate in one of the last times we ate at Larshan. Boy loves Larshan, huh?
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I was in Larshan last night.
I'm not surprised.
You know what I was wearing? A skirt.
A skirt.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
no labels, no,
Of course,
no boundaries.
you know,
But
nothing.
remember, after the last time, well, the other time
I was wearing shorts over a Dolce & Gabbana skirts. Yeah, I was there.
But our friend Nini Borja from the taping at Crimson, and then we went to Larshan, and Nini was like, Mike, what is Larshan? No, it's L'argent. It's French and fine dining. You have to wear something nice. Okay, can I just wear it? Yeah, fine. So she was wearing a trench coat, and then when we were in Larshan, is this it? Chinese ka?
You know, I was interviewed in an Asian country. It was not for television. On stage, I was asked as the best restaurant in the Philippines, and I said, because I couldn't describe that it is not a restaurant, that it is, you
Like a
know,
hawker.
yeah. I said Larshan. Sabi nag-interview sa akin, whoa, okay.
Michelin starred.
No, but I really love Larshan. I was looking for Leitenia, wala na.
Yeah, wala na.
So I went to another one, and then I met Jai Jai. He's this wonderful, wonderful gay person, and he said, I used to work for Leitenia, and I'm now working for this, so I went to another
So
restaurant.
he remembers,
and-
this gay person remembers.
yeah, and the year. You were last year in 2000 something. I enjoyed last night. I enjoyed Larshan. You should go.
But
Dutertes.
well, before we close the episode, no, in preparation for our part 2 next week, you're back in Larshan, but last year, 2014, you had a brush with death.
Yes.
And it was, and people knew, I mean, it was a close call. You had abscess in your liver, and it was
Right.
because of food. So, and for a while, you were like vegetarian.
Well, I was very careful with my diet, etc. And
But you're now eating
my
Larshan.
doctors were saying, don't go for street food. But you'll always go home to who you are. You'll always go back to your core. And between fine dining and Larshan, and this is not, you know, to pander to Larshan because you know my life, I'll always go for street food. And that is real. But I just want to go back to 2014. Can I be very honest? It was an ordeal. It was a painful experience in the hospital. It was the first time I was hospitalized in all my life. But it was not really life-threatening. It just became, it sounded like it was life-threatening because I was so much in the news. It was abscess in my liver. It was not contaminated, thank God. It was not cancerous. And it didn't go to my lungs, and it was just aspirated. And on my 9th day, actually, the doctors were saying you can go. And I said, no, I want to stay because I want you to do all the tests. And it was a turning point in my life. It was a turning point in my life. Why? Because for the first time, I was reading the threads. I was going to sites, you know, there was a eulogy for me. I was dead.
You had HIV.
I was HIV positive. I had typhoid fever. I had lahat na ng sakit ibinigay sa akin. What did I learn from that experience? I learned to protect my truth. You know, I went to Amanpulo. social na, no?
Larshan, Amanpulo.
Yeah.
Diba? Range.
The vastness, di ba? I went to Amanpulo to rest right after my hospitalization. Doon kasi wala kang magawa. So Bong and I went to so many sites. That's where I read Paalam, Tito Boy. May mga ganon. There I learned to laugh at myself. There I learned that people will always say something nice or bad about you. There I learned that people like you, that people don't like you. There I learned that in my heart, I had my truth. There I learned that in spite of whatever things were being said about me, I was okay and I was blessed. There I learned to celebrate what I was, what I am, and what I will be. There I learned that I should protect my truth. And if you do protect your truth, nothing can break you.
Beautiful realization.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to go through a tough time to be able to understand.
That's social development, Mike. Guys, you have sometimes to go through what we call in social development disequilibrium or a dilemma. You go through that. You go through that, and you come out of it a better person. You come out of it.
It's like a cocoon.
Yeah, a stronger person, a more decided, a more focused person, a humbler person. In the hospital and after, I also learned that you are immortal, that you cannot run too fast, that you're not invincible, that if you want to take care of your nana, you have to take care of yourself, that you're not the best, that you don't know everything, that pain is pain. Ang sakit kasi nun, Mike, you know yung pag-ano lang ng dextrose? Ako kasi, manipis, ang hirap. It was so painful. Yung pagpasok dito sa veins, it would be so hard. You know, they would call for, usually nurses lang yan, they would call specialists to insert that needle. To the point that every time somebody would come to my room, I would say, ano yan? Ano na naman? Yung needle. It was just so painful. But pain sometimes can teach you the most valuable lessons in your life. And it can bring about some of the most joyous moments in your life. That's why after that, when I was interviewed, what was your biggest fear? My fear was to die. My fear was for Nanay to bury me. And I was so afraid. That was my fear.
Thank you for the wisdom, Boy.
Thank you, Mike.
The wit and wisdom of Boy Abunda. We'll have more of Boy Abunda next week when we swap for for the second part episode of our special anniversary.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for this.
First year anniversary of Open Mic.
And can I just say this? Thank you for giving me the chance to meet Mr. Bobit Avila.
He's our managing director.
I know. I didn't even have an idea. I'm really sorry. But one time he mentioned you in your column.
Oh.
Yes, he did.
About the show, I think.
About the show, and it was
Senator Grace.
Yeah, not necessarily about the show, but he mentioned you. That's why. But I had no idea that he was actually running this show. But what a pleasure! Thank you.
It's nice to be surrounded by brilliant people.
It's nice to be surrounded by brilliant and kind people. Thank you very much.
Until next week, this has been Mike Lopez. Another episode of Open Mic. Good night and Godspeed.